It's always important to have the perspective of the customers, and this is not Net's perspective. It's what the largest merchants in the Nordic region actually were speaking to us when we studied them through interviews. So I will just share with you some facts and how we have interpreted the results. I can just say that this is limited to the large merchants and not small merchants, and we are going to conduct a survey of the small merchants as well during October, November, and we will be happy to share the results as well with you. Okay. When we started this study in June, July 2014, we had two very simple questions at Nets. The first question was, where in the payments value chain are merchants paying really? Where, especially the large merchants who have much more complex understanding and issues. So we created a very simple value chain. Of course, in reality, it is a circle, as you can guess, but it is just to simplify. And the payment block we identified separate, in a separate color, because Nets is actually very much into that block. And that is obviously our core business. So the proposition was, how can we serve merchants better? And obviously, we have to listen to them instead of hypothesizing inside Nets, maybe, could be, right? So we thought of adjacent payment services called the prepayment side and the post-payment services, where typically analytics, settlement, receipt management, all those things will come. Prepayment would be helping them build customer base, sell more, sell faster, expand to new geographies, little that we can help. So that was the first premise. So in the value chain, where are the merchants' pain and needs are in the large merchant segment? And the second question was equally simple, and that was the last question. Are large Nordic merchants really expanding into new geographies? Within the geography they are located in the Nordic region, are they only focused in the Nordics, in their own country, or will they go outside Nordic as well? If yes, which countries and why? Because as a very large payment provider, we should be responsible to help those Nordic merchants also in expansion plans, outside, Nordic region. So we had two very simple questions. Where in the value chain they are investing, their pains are, and where in Nordics or outside Nordics do they want to go? That's it. And we decided to only listen to them. 56 largest merchants. I use the word merchants and not retailers because merchants can be e-commerce players or retailers in the physical space. And then we conducted in-depth interviews using a third-party agency so that we get a neutral perspective. Almost 30% e-commerce, 67, that was the split, 33-67. And the reason for that split was that e-commerce, although there is a growth, it is still a very small percent of the total. It is less than 10%. We thought 30%, 33% would be quite good. And we ended up actually interviewing more than 56 times because the same large merchant like Norges Gruppen, was interviewed multiple times because they have both e-commerce and retail side. Okay? So what were the key findings? This is where I will focus on. Go back to the first question. Where in the value chain are they investing? Okay? And we had a very simple construct in our mind, prepayment or post-payment. That is, without complicating it too much, right? So before payment happens, that's the prepayment part, and the post-payment is mostly analytic settlement. And what is very interesting is, as we summed up, the end user behavior ultimately drives the merchant. There are some segments which are more sticky, like gaming, gambling, which is on the top. There are some segments where, like books, where people just go to the shop because they like the selection of the books. So in a way, they are intuitively more loyal. Typically, these segments are more interested in post-payment services because they want to keep the customer relation, right? But then there are very price-sensitive segments at the bottom that they would just like to keep business coming instead of keeping the new customers, all the time in the loop. So that is not the top priority. The top priority is to capture versus, add more services. It is very important to also see that the prepayment issues will often not be outsourced to partners because they're also very sensitive issues. You don't outsource your sales, for example. That's prepayment, really. It's discovery and capture. But on the post-payment side, you see analytics and a lot of processors, large payment providers, including Nets. We are moving into that area. So it's very important then to understand which segment are we talking and what propositions are we bringing to them. So that is very important Keep end user in mind. And if you look at Apple, just take the latest example from 1 month ago. And Apple has a history of putting user-centric architectures, not merchant-centric, not telco-centric, not bank-centric. They talk to us, right? And that is why then everyone falls in line, because they have a vision to help each end user, what makes them tick. So really the end user drives the merchant. If we can build solutions which are end user-centric, merchants will also accept it. The second finding was on the innovation side. We wanted to understand, are merchants investing in innovation related to payments? Now I'm talking about those segments which have mass market, where digitization can save a lot of money, mass transit, think about it, or segments like restaurants and the books magazines, where end users have a high service quality requirement that they want to check out very fast, pay very easily. I would like to just scan, for example, a product and the payment happens, as MasterCard says these days, frictionless payments. So then innovation is a big issue, but it is not, everyone is not focusing on innovation. So it's very important that when we think innovation as a supplier or a partner of merchants, we try to keep their profile in mind as well. So innovation is, there is some segment difference, but not a significant, but ticket and transport is very, very high. The third area that we were quite interested to know was payment methods, because you all hear about the concept of tokens these days, right? And tokens have come up because bank-centric payment methods have, for some reasons, not been fulfilling the user-centric needs. That is why we have all these bitcoins. Now the taxes in Finland accept bitcoins, and also bank instruments. So it was very interesting to understand that what is merchant perspective there? What do the large merchants say? Look at that, look at the invoice, the deferred payment. And that is really taking off, not just in Sweden or in Norway, but actually also in Finland. The other very interesting thing is PayPal, 12% in Norway. And if you have seen the study from PostNord, 58% citizens in the Scandinavia are actually doing online shopping from, not Scandinavia, it's from Germany, US and UK. Then they typically use PayPal. Think about the user-centric behavior driving this choice of payment instrument, right? Again, it's very important to understand that this PayPal, my own assessment from corporate strategy is it will rise more, simply because the nature of shopping is not within Nordics, it's actually outside Nordic. 58% Scandinavians buy products from, vendors who are not in Scandinavia. On the question of expansion, so where do you want, are you having expansion plans? And where? 3 countries, actually, US was not really on the list, but that is where you buy from. But the merchants themselves are having expansion plans more in UK and Germany and Baltics. And it is not very surprising because UK and Germany are very cash rich. That's for one. And the second, most companies who want to globalize outside Europe often try their solutions in UK because it's a highly fragmented, it's a highly contested market. So often that works as a test bed. But not many merchants. That was quite interesting. If you're talking 8 to 10, that's not a big number out of 56. And we're talking only large tier 1 merchants. So that's not a big, because they see that Nordic is a very good region to play for some time. Okay. Now I'll try to sum up. These are the key findings. So all in all, there were 8 themes that we captured that is on top of the mind of a merchant, especially the large merchants. Very quickly, the omni-channel retailing, as you call it, that the end user should be able to capture a product from any channel and then pay in any channel. Rabobank and PayPal deal that you probably have read in Holland. So you can actually pick up the good in the retail shop, but you can use PayPal, a non-banking payment instrument. Interesting, right? Why wouldn't that come in Scandinavia? Think about it. So merchants would basically like to translate as many browsers into buyers. That is the fundamental driver. An end user would like the most convenient solution. That's it. The rest must follow that. There is no more analysis, to be honest. So user experience, that is very, very critical across the channels, as I just said. They are quite cautious on new developments like biometrics. Some of you may be thinking, how is that? Most of the merchants said, well, they would like to listen more, but not invest, not right now. but it is interesting. So just to pick on that. Yeah, digital execution is key because merchants see payment as a part of their digitization strategies, large merchants, so that papers can be taken away and it can be more efficient business at the end of the day, right? Not just capture more customers, but also the management process has to be more automated. Mobile is a hot topic, no clear solution coming, and we all see all sorts of solutions being tested. It is a trial period. It has been a trial period for some time. There are a lot of competing ecosystems, telco-led, bank group-led, bank individual-led. Maybe independent processors will have their own ideas with telcos, etc. No clear solutions. Merchants are confused, to put it bluntly. Consumer-driven diversification, as we have already touched, it is the end user who will drive, not large suppliers. And those who understand end users will actually win. There is no doubt about it. Unified payment tools, which is more like omni-channel. Merchant value chain is not linear. We started with that because we understood that initially, is it straight or is it converging? It is converging. And analytics was actually very high on their mind because now they realize more and more that the only way they can have a user-centric solution or services is by profiling the user within, obviously, the Payment Data Acts. That's very important. Out of the 8, to sum up, these are the 3 things where merchants are investing or would like partnerships most. Someone who can help them with user experience. Personally, the word omni-channel is a little bit of hype, if you ask me. The keyword underlying omni-channel is user experience. Okay, so every time I read the word omni-channel, I see, okay, this is user experience across channels. That's reality. Mobile, they are confused, so any solution that can give them, for example, an architecture that can allow them to capture different alternative payment methods without adding them one by one every time it comes, they will like it. Mobile is just one channel. Analytics came very high. So you see the trend around what Visa recently has announced, that they are recruiting 2,000 high-tech people. What are the areas? Insights. That is one area, cloud. So any tool that can help the merchant extract more value from the history, manage risk and liquidity better, of course, but also have targeted promotion, loyalty programs which are much more concentrated in certain region, in certain seasons, in certain geography, in certain age group even. They are looking for tools that can help them. Well, that was the key finding of our survey. That's it.